Welcome, everyone, to episode 1031 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pentelaresco. I write stuff in podcasts too, and today we're going to have two very small conversations from San Diego Comic-Con. Brianna Winner and Brian Pulido were two interviews I got the opportunity to do during San Diego Comic-Con this year. San Diego was a wild experience for me. I'm hoping to get back there this year. I'm hoping I'll know more about that next week. This week was a week of good fortune. But beyond those two interviews, because they are both relatively short, I'm going to be spending a good half of this hour just chatting with the audience here today, because I haven't done this in a while. I used to do this every once in a while back in the early days of the show, but I thought, this would be kind of a neat change of pace. And then, my next episode's Betsy Ross, episode 1032, and we get back to kind of normal for a little bit. So let's talk about, 2023 for me was a great little bit of, ups and downs. It ended on some real down notes, but it had a lot of ups. I went to San Diego Comic-Con, which is a huge up. It was a fantastic, wonderful little journey. And it's been great. It's been great to kind of do that. On top of that, I got the opportunity to, see a lot of my work come out. I got my first published comic work, working for somebody out. I wrote a script for a company, which is kind of cool. The book came out on Kickstarter. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's been great. So there's that. That was probably my big highlight in terms of published work. I broke 1,000 episodes on the podcast. I have to consider that a real milestone. I mean, this is episode 1031, but I mean, that's a big part of my life. I've done 1,000 episodes. I mean, that's mind-boggling, I think. So that's up number 2. Up number 3, I got my first commissioned artwork last year, which was kind of really cool. Never would have asked in a million years. Actually, I'll tell that story. This was actually during San Diego. Actually, I sold 2 pieces of art. I drew a piece of art, and one of the people at the bungalow I was staying at actually bought it on the spot. I never expected that. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I drew a piece. It sold. So that was wild. But the next day was interesting. I was on the beach. I just did a little doodle. I want to say something very clear. I don't think I'm a terrible artist anymore. I realize how much work I've gotten to the point that I realize how much work I still have to go. The thing with me drawing stuff, though, is it's not really about me getting good, if that makes sense. It's just about me doing something that's creative just for me. I do most of the creativity. I try to make money doing it, and I don't apologize for that. But sometimes you need something just for you, and the art was just for me. So I post around a somewhat regular basis on my Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and somebody actually goes, "Hey, how long have you been drawing?" And I answered 3 years. And they put off this really lambastic post about why I was a terrible artist. They told me I should take drawing classes. And while I probably should take drawing classes, I'm not going to lie. That all said, it was just a vicious attack on my art. I'm in my 40s now. I have a very different interpretation of reactions. I don't care what your reaction is with anything I do anymore. I just care that you're reacting, right? And that sounds like I'm encouraging polarization. No, one thing I've learned about this life, this business, this world is that you're going to piss people off for whatever reason. And today it's even easier to do than it was ever before. And as a result, I kind of have this whole idea in my head that, I'm not going to worry about it. If you don't like what I do, that's fine. Seriously, you got the right not to like anything I do. If you love what I do, great. I love that you love what I do. I hope you love what I do, because that's what I try to do with the show and the podcast and stuff, is do things and create things. That's the whole point. So that's the thing, right? So I had this whole thing set up, and then what ended up happening was within an hour of me getting that message, I got my very first commission in San Diego. I did a commission. I actually still have it. I want to frame it, kind of hanging on my wall. It's my first commission art piece. Again, am I the greatest artist in the world? No. But it doesn't matter. I did a piece for somebody rarely appreciated it, and that's all you can ask really at the end of the day with any art you do. So that's cool. So those are the top three things. The bottom three things, though, is the reality that I ended up, ending on a down note. I'm just under a living wage as a creative. I broke 20K, making $20,000 as a creative, which I think is a pretty cool accomplishment. Would have been better was if I'd gotten that last little bit. I ended up getting a contract that fell through right in middle of November. It was brutal. All my contracts are frozen as of right now. And that's kind of been an interesting thing. And then December was a kind of a rough month to try to get anything going. I got some things coming up early, January, February. I actually got my first gig of the year, which is nice, an editing gig, which I'm working on. But I'm also I'm creating some work and doing some things and going from there. So I got a whole bunch of stuff to, I do have some stuff lined up for me I start working on later in the month, but I'm still down. I'm not where I wanted to be. I would have been on the road by now. So right now what I'm doing is I'm making a conscious decision to change up some things as we speak. Now, it's obviously early in the year, and I've been doing some things, and I haven't talked about my last good thing yet, but I want to get the bad things out of the way. Freelancing can be an amazing roller coaster. I was one decision away from actually making a pretty comfortable living for myself. I wouldn't have had to work right now. I'd probably be in a beach in San Diego right now, to tell you the truth. But I'm not there. I'm here, and I'm doing my thing, and that's wonderful and great and lovely, and that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm focusing on. So that was my big down, and I've been kind of crawling out of the abyss and doing some things and being creative. Got a nice little bit of encouragement from a buddy today, actually. So I'll just say, hey, JD, thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, so here comes the other kind of big moment of work and success. So last August at When Words Collide, I actually had the opportunity to Mark Leslie and I'm blanking on his last name, and that's driving me nuts right now. But anyways, Chris Humphreys, there you go. Name just comes to me. Chris Humphreys and Mark are doing ghost stories, and we're all just hanging out. This is the equivalent. So if you ever do When Words Collide in Calgary, if the second night of the convention they do a blanket fort kind of night. Well, this time around they did a how do I put this? They did a ghost story kind of thing. So I ended up sitting beside this person, and I didn't know them from Adam. I just started talking and just bullshitting, right? Because it's what I do. I have a big mouth. If you haven't listened to me chat, I have a huge mouth. And it turns out that this person was an agent, and I said, okay, cool. We connected really well, and I sent her my manuscript at the end of October, which was, I finished a novel last year. That was the other big accomplishment, and something I'm really, really proud of. One of the best things I've ever done, I think, in terms of the story I wrote. I wrote a love story. I'm really proud of it. And right off the bat this year, January 6th, I hear from this agent who's read my script and is actually interested in me sending her out the story. And like I said, I created the wildest thing I could. I hope, now, it's placed at the ups and downs. I literally lost my contract. So the editor I had working on this, right, I still owe her money, which is something that I'm trying to amend as quickly as possible. Because that way I can do a better version of the manuscript, because I trust this person I really hired. I think she's amazing. But unfortunately, I just had a lot of things just cut me under the wings. Even this month, not seeing any financial, some of the financial stuff from my creativity for another week or so has been driving me batty. It is what it is. So I'm working on it. So yeah, so it's been a slow start, but I feel like things are kind of working out now. Right, I'm saying that Calgary is the coldest it's been this entire winter right now. And it's been winter. It's kind of like a deep freeze. I'm dreading going out tomorrow, actually, folks. I really, really am, because I got to go do my side gig. And I can honestly call it my side gig because it's not my main. It's, at the moment, my biggest source of income, but that'll change. It's like next month, I already know it's going to change. So saying all that, doing all that, that's how my year ended. But I can look at a lot of positives and a lot of stuff. I didn't mention Healing Hands. You won't hear any advertisements this episode until the end. I got kind of a service I want to talk about when we get to the end of this, but like I kind of want to talk about what my goals for 2023, what happened in 2023, and that's what I accomplished, folks. Is I did that. So that is my 2023, and when I come back on the air, I'll talk about 2024. But first, my first interview. It is my conversation with Brian Pulido. Take a look. I interviewed him very briefly. We talked about Lady Death. Brian is incredibly professional. He has done a lot of stuff like successfully. Like he has managed to turn Kickstarter into an incredible enterprise. He actually has done what a lot of comic creators wish they would do. Is like he has created his own space independently, and he has done a wonderful job. And my hat's off to him. All right, let's get to that conversation, shall we?
Evil Ernie through Chaos.
Yeah, no, that's when I remember seeing it. Was through the Chaos era. I came from my first comic stuff was in the early '90s, so I got to see all the Malibu stuff, the Valiant stuff, the Image stuff.
Oh, sure, right, all that, the explosion.
Yeah, and you were part of that actually.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I got tailwinds to some of that.
Yeah, and you're still standing. You've outlasted almost every one of those companies.
And really, comics is a tournament.
Yeah.
Right? So not everyone lasts.
No, it does. No, like seriously, I've interviewed people that did like the Ultraverse line.
Oh yeah.
It's recording. No worries.
Okay, cool. We're going.
Yeah, we're going. So I interviewed like the Ultraverse line. I did like the and it was like Valiant line. That line has been up and down.
Sure.
Image has evolved quite a bit.
So true. Yeah.
Right.
From the hero-centric stuff of the '90s now to that kind of more independent voices in published.
Yeah. And you, for all of that, have maintained your voice. That is honestly a feat, man.
It's a trip. Well, there's certain musical groups I seek to emulate. So there are bands like AC/DC, Iron Maiden, or Slayer. I think they found their lane and they stuck with it for life.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you check in with an AC/DC record, generally, you're going to get blues-based hard rock.
Yep.
Iron Maiden, these kind of epic storylines, sort of proggy, metal, galloping stuff, or Slayer, these really dark stories that explore the darkness of humanity.
Yeah.
And yet, generally, what you could expect.
And actually, about the three, I think Slayer's the most. AC/DC is definitely like their own thing. They're unique and iconic. And Maiden's Maiden.
Right.
But I feel like Slayer is the one that's maintained their course the steadiest.
Yeah.
They know exactly who they are. They don't pretend to be anything else.
Yeah.
And people love them for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So and that really, when I write the stories, I want people to feel like they're still experiencing the exact same character. Like Lady Death has been, to me, the same character. There's been no, there might have been some evolution of thought and she's learned some lessons, but we have never betrayed the character where, I don't know, radical costume change, milieu change, now she's a secretary in an office in a law firm.
Made a deal with the devil and eradicate her whole past 20 years. Like
all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
the exhaustive exploration of the origin, not into any of that stuff.
No, actually, here's the thing. So back when I was a little bit more of a harder comic book player, it's like continuity matters. Continuity only matters that the character is who you recognize them to be.
Yeah.
The stories don't have to make complete sense when you read them together. What matters is the tone and the intent of delivery. The audience understands. Like 30 years, you're not going to remember everything you did at the beginning. And even if you try, it's be like, this is difficult, but I know who she is. My fans know who she is. They don't care, and I am having fun. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, I do think continuity matters to the degree possible. Even myself, I got caught up in some crazy storylines in the '90s, sort of pseudo-cosmic, leaning into my adoration of Jim Starlin. Later became sort of cosmic-y, but we've been keeping her probably for the last 8 years pretty grounded, adventurer.
Yeah.
But yet she is entering into a lot of milieus we've never done before. For example, as we speak in 2023, she's in a story that has real serious science fiction leanings. It's an alternative Earth 13 years into the future where she's facing off against a version of herself named Empress Death, who's super close to fulfilling her goal of megadeath, which is the death of all life on Earth. So this is harkening back to the original interpretation of Lady Death, when she was a straight-up villain. She's been an anti-hero for the majority of it. So we've been having fun setting her in these different environments and milieus.
It's just that's the best kind of adventures. Actually, absolutely. So, I guess I'm going to ask this: you started her off as a villain.
She did, yeah.
Yeah. Why do you, like, how have you been able to keep going with, like, it's hard.
It's hard. So, like, to have her as a straight up villain would be near impossible.
Yeah.
People just lose interest. No matter how much we're interested in the villain, you need a good protagonist. It's mathematical, it's factual, but we could toe the line with her as an anti-hero.
Yeah.
So kept her as solid as an anti-hero. And people adore anti-heroes, right? So you could say Wolverine, Punisher, they're anti-heroes. So I moved her to anti-hero also because it would be more dynamic for the reader, because a villain is a villain. There's one note, evil. Anti-hero, in the case of Lady Death especially, there is some struggle, there's some sense of humanity. You can see that there's a sense of morality and ethics. She will clearly use more decisive, violent means to solve problems, and yet you can see, if you read it, sometimes there's a struggle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the best kind, because characters, none of us are really like fully good or fully evil. We have dynamics, and sometimes one dynamic wins over the other, and that's humanity.
I agree.
Yeah, you humanized the character quite a bit then. A little bit.
I think we had to, yeah. And that's what's fun about bringing in a character like this Empress Death.
Yeah.
No humanity. So even the character Lady Death's kind of see, wow, if I went down this path, this is who I would be. It's like, is that really what I wanted?
Yeah, no, that's a crazy thing. Like, again, from a character arc, and I'm gonna say that's from a personal thing, because you're with a character this long, you have to connect with the character to keep it authentic.
Yeah.
So, what the big part of you is in it?
I would say that's an interesting question. I've thought about that myself, but it's probably persistence.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm always excited about writing Lady Death stories and continue to, and probably what excites me is this, she is persistent. So in the face of insurmountable odds and obstacles, she's still willing to kind of go after her goals. And I would say that I'll take a licking, but I keep on ticking.
Yeah.
And pretty hard to beat, just keep going.
Oh, dude, like, I honestly, so I've interviewed quite a few people on Kickstarter, right? Or I do Kickstarter comics. They all refer to you as the man. Like, legitimately, they do. Like, and none of them say it, like, with any, like malice or like, you've worked very hard to get to where you're at, and you've carved a very cool niche for yourself. I'm gonna ask. So I don't know if you have any mainstream comic like through Diamond or distribution or anything at this point.
We do.
Yeah,
sure.
But what I would ask.
But we premiere through crowdfunding and direct to customer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking. Like, for you, are you happy? Like, that seems like a happier motto for you, people like you specifically. Yeah.
So I am seriously independent for 30 years. Mm-hmm. The rare times where I have worked for major publishers, it's also been on my terms.
Yeah.
So in the late 90s, I was invited by Marvel during the Marvel Knights era to write whatever I wanted. So I wrote a thing called The Supernaturals. We wrote it, produced it, colored it under their editorial guidance, and sent them files. Like, that was how I worked for Marvel. So yes, to be independent always is the game, but like, how do you navigate that world? When I chose to get back into publishing around 2014, I started interviewing a lot of the captains of comic book retail, really started looking hard at the distribution model. And the challenge is selling your product to the distributor for 40% off, 60% off retail. It's just difficult to make it. So I recall back in the 90s, the mail order element of our business was always successful. So at the end of this long period of interviewing everybody, I realized that I would not be able to make it work. The cards are kind of stacked against an independent. In the major distribution catalogs, there's a front of the catalog publisher and there's the back. And I just get it. A lot of the people who sell comics, they like their Marvel, DC, they like their favorable trade terms, they like nostalgia. And although my work had been in the catalog for over 30 years or 25, whatever it was at the time, it's just seen as less favorable. So all that being equal, and being a free market capitalist that I am, I said, you know what? This thing, crowdfunding, there's something to it, and I'm gonna go hard and heavy and put my soul into it. I had seen my friend Jimmy Palmiotti using crowdfunding. I spoke with him. He gave me a couple of tips. Probably the most important of which he said was, have your comic ready to the point of printing and then crowdfund, so that when you complete it, you can get it to everybody quicker. And I mean, I took that as gospel.
Yeah.
So this is all a long-winded way of saying that, yes, direct-to-customer, getting into crowdfunding and direct-to-customer model was our path to success.
Yeah.
I think otherwise we'd still struggle because we'd be selling everything that we produced wholesale.
Well, it's also cool because I kind of look at what, especially with a lot of them doing, it's almost like a subscription, like a mail order subscription service,
Yeah,
a modern version of it,
Yeah.
right? So you offer it to your customers, they give it to you, and in return you keep making cool products from them, and if you get anything from the mainstream, not that you're, again, like you said, there's nothing wrong with it, but that's a bonus. You're right.
It's a bonus. So how we treat it is we crowdfund our premiere material, deliver it probably within 8 to 12 weeks of close. We've done that 34 times. And then about 9 months to a year later, we offer brand new editions of those stories, sometimes breaking up into several parts, to the comics market. And that's equally successful and is profitable for us, but we could not make it on that.
No, and that's totally understand. Like, honestly, incredibly smart business model.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, very
trial
smart.
and error.
No, but you learned, and you're thriving. So, again, just asking. Beyond Lady Death, there's any other things you're working on right now?
Yeah, so we have a whole line of stories we call the Coffin Verse. Lady Death is the main character people know. Her antagonist is a character named Hell Witch, who's a fiery character. We call her Hellborn. She is native of hell, and her tribe and her culture is native. Its characters like Satanists and demons are colonizers who infiltrated hell. They're not natural. So she's got a lot of chips on her shoulder, whether it's against Lady Death or humanity, or
she just doesn't like anybody.
She truly doesn't like anybody. If Lady Death is kind of seen as cold and austere and sort of reserved yet angry, Hell Witch is the contrast. She's fiery, she's emotional, she's prone to overreacting.
So fire and ice, and that's the relationship.
Yeah, that's the relationship of those. And yet she stands, in our universe, stands on her own as her own character. We are actually, we're kicking off her next Kickstarter called Bitchcraft in October. Okay. Yet another character we have is a street level vigilante. Her name is La Muerta. And she's already been funded for 9 chapters. And we have the exact same creative team on it since the beginning. So that is writer Mike McLean, illustrator Joel Gomez, colorist CeCe De La Cruz, and letterer Marshall Dillon. I've been on this book since 2014, which is rare in comics also.
No, that's ridiculously hard because again, creators, I mean, ultimately, sometimes they want to move on to other projects. Sure. Sometimes, so you must treat those guys really well, and they must really love the property.
Well, I mean, that's sort of the blessing of things like crowdfunding, is that excess capital allows us to pay people fairly, to take care of people, whereas, formally, sometimes the comics market, for us at least, would be a struggle.
Yeah, no, well, I've done some publishing stuff myself. Sometimes you do get it, but it can take a long time, and sometimes you're like, I need other work.
Right.
You're right. And
yeah.
Whereas you get, wow, that's kudos. That's a huge kudos to you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Real quick, I gotta ask, because you mentioned the metal stuff earlier. Are you a big metal?
I am. I'm a big rock and roll fan. I love it all, but I think kind of what curses through my blood is hard rock, classic rock, heavy metal. I mean, I particularly love the new age of British heavy metal, which would be Judas Priest, Iron Maiden.
Okay.
And I love thrash, which would be the big four, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax, Overkill, Exodus. But I'm a rock fan too, right? Because that would be the background of my life as a teenager in the 70s. I graduated high school in 80. So, the background is everything from like Boston, Kansas.
I have Kansas Carry On Wayward Son in my head.
It's the best, man.
Yeah,
it's the best. But I do adore music generally. I also like punk rock quite a lot. I fell in love with punk rock as early as the fall of 1977.
Misfits?
I've seen probably like the Misfits reunion shows. I've seen 7 or 8 of them, no joke. Yes, I've had some really fun experiences with those folks as well. But all that stuff.
No, it's cool. I'm more into like the epic metal, like Nightwish,
cool.
Amon Amarth.
Power metal, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm more the European stuff.
Sure, so stuff like the tradition that started with Halloween and onward.
I like that. Yeah, I like that stuff. That's more my sweet. Not that I don't respect some of the old guys. Like,
do you like El Extremo?
I haven't listened to them.
Yeah, that'd be up your alley. If you like what you just name check, El Extremo is a German outfit that does medieval metal.
I would totally be into that.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, they play electric instruments and medieval instruments.
That's awesome. The other one I secretly I've been getting into more is pirate metal.
Oh, very cool.
That's actually something that's just very like, wow, they do this?
It's crazy. Same thing with like Viking metal, right? Like Amon Amarth.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, it's a thing.
Yeah, and it's like, that's awesome. So what's next? Honestly, this has been great so far.
Great.
My question is, before I think we're gonna wrap this up, if that's all right with you.
Sure.
I feel like the crowd is coming.
Right on.
And you got stuff to sell.
It's all good.
So what would you like to tell the audience about what's coming up next for you, and where can people find you?
Well, number one, best way to get news about what's going on with Coffin Comics is go to our website, coffincomics.com, sign up to our VIP newsletter. Put it out every Monday, Tuesday without fail. Upper right, just sign up. But as we sit, we're talking here, July 20?
2020, yeah, 20th, I think.
So here's what's next. Lady Death Imperial Requiem launches on Kickstarter Wednesday, August 9th at 7 p.m. Arizona time. Then Chaotica Spellbound launches on Kickstarter Wednesday, September 13th, 7 p.m. Arizona time. And then Hellwitch Hellborn launches October 13th, I believe. Always Wednesday, always 7 p.m. Arizona time. But that's not all. Coffin Comics is also the proud owner of Tucson Comic-Con. We're in our 14th year. Come on down to Tucson, come to our convention. Our guests include this year Jimmy Palmiotti, Amanda Connor, Joe Jusko, Mark Morales, Christopher Priest, celebrities including the Honky Tonk Man and the gentleman who played Carl on The Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's fun. But we're always doing something. So Coffin Comics never stops. We have promotions direct to our customer every 2 weeks. So if you sign up for the newsletter, you also get to see all the cool licensing that's spinning off, action figure lines, statues, and other things to follow.
Actually, I had one last thing.
Sure.
And this is, there's actually been a lot of quiet marketing advice in this interview so far. What's the best piece of advice you got doing this? Out of everything
well, if I were to give anybody any advice, they'll look at what we do and say, wow, how did all that happen?
Yeah.
And it's really, here's the concept, it's really simple. It's called the speed of trust. If you're a trustworthy business person and all your actions are ethical and transparent and you are your word with your customer, you have the opportunity to accelerate your business. If you're stuck in whether it be lies, deceit, mismanagement, not delivering on your promise, you get stuck and people don't trust you. So if you could be your word and you can be trustworthy, you have an opportunity to actually accelerate your business. And again, that is a marketing concept called speed of trust.
Okay. So I have 12 rules of success.
Sure.
The first rule is show up.
That helps.
That very much sounds like the same thing.
It helps out. It helps out.
All right.
Well, yeah. Definitely playing the game and being engaged in the game would be an element too.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, thank you for the opportunity.
Hi, you're very welcome, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
Holler at you later.
Yeah, all right. You've definitely done this before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
Yeah.
And that was my conversation with Brian Pulido. Definitely check out any of his Lady Death Kickstarters. Like I said, he's the man. Honest to gosh, he's the man. And it was a pleasure having this conversation. It was a little shorter than I expected, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. And I want to thank Brian from the bottom of my heart for doing this. Okay, so that was 2023. What was 2024? So my goals are really simple. Full-blown creative living. This is my 4th year as a freelancer. I have been shifting more and more away from working, doing other jobs. I'm at that point in my life where I realize that I have to let go of everything I did in the past. I'm enjoying my side gig. My side gig is really unique. I'll tell stories when this is all said and done. It's a really unique place in the sense that everybody goes there. I have seen the mayor of the city. I have seen famous celebrities. I've seen people like me just working there. It's an eclectic mix of people. It really, really is. And I have to say that I enjoyed the camaraderie. I've enjoyed it. But I'm also at the point now where know I can do better. Freelancing art of any kind, if you really want to succeed at this, you have to have confidence in yourself that you can make it better. You can do different. You can be different. And that's my goal this year. My goal is to go all in. Now, there's some things I got to work on and improve, and I know what they are, and I accept that. But some of it, I think, isn't as far away as I think. Like I said, I came so close. Not quite my most profitable year ever, but it would have been very close. Like it gone head to head with some of my years when I worked at the Sparkle Muffin, aka Purelator, and it would have been amazing, you know. And I wish I had that chance. And the other thing too is I want to leave Calgary. It's not because I hate the city. It's because this time around it has been incredibly difficult to meet any of the people I know. And I had this thought, and I meant it. I thought about it honestly, is I'd rather be surrounded by people, complete strangers, and familiar faces who treat me strangely. And that's kind of how I feel about the city right now. I know don't get me wrong, it's not everybody. But what I've learned in this life is that, you know what, people have their own decisions, their own place of how to do things. And I realized that, you know what, for me in this city, there isn't a place for me with anybody. I don't think that's a terrible thing. It's just, you know, it's just what it is. And I've certainly tried. But I also, like, in the process coming back here this time around, I learned some very valuable lessons. And one of them is really simple. When people ghost you, they're done. It doesn't really matter who it is. Now, I've made mistakes. Like even today, I made a couple big ones, and yesterday I made a couple big ones, and I owed some apologies. And I realized there are things I need to work on and things I need to do too, and to get to the next level, because I want to get to the next level, and that's what this is all about. This is not about me. I don't want to be in the same habits all the time. Like, one of my rules of success is to stay uncomfortable. And part of that is, like, if I wanted to stay in Calgary, would there be a way to make me stay here? Absolutely. I'm not saying it's impossible. I don't hate it here, outside the fact that it's winter and you don't even want to know how cold it is. Like, you just don't. If I told you, you'd probably freak out. But the thing about it is, when it's this cold, when it's this vicious, this nasty, it makes you think about what, you know, places you'd rather be too. I'm not going to lie. But what it comes down to, folks, is, you know, people have a tendency to, like I said, this time around, no one wanted to interact. Like, they would find ways, and I don't have time to wait. Like, that's what it comes down to. Is, like, I realize, like, time only goes forward. If you're not able to find time for, like, even a cup of coffee and catch up now, you're never going to find that time. And at this point, like, I don't know when exactly I'm going to go out the door, but I'm going to go out the door. And I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if I'm a car. I don't care if I'm hitchhiking. I don't give a shit. I've just hit that point. So that's the other part of it, is the only thing really holding me back, and this isn't really a big deal, grand scheme of things, is I want to turn my creativity into a full-time thing, because the moment that's done, I can go anywhere I want. At that point, maybe I don't drive anywhere. Maybe I just go to a new city for a little while, stay there for maybe 2-3 months. I mean, this would work too. Go to a city I really like, hang there 2-3 months to interview people randomly, meet some interesting people, talk to them, do things with them, and then, you know, move to the next town. I mean, I don't mind that either. I mean, it doesn't have to be a straight road trip. It could be just stop here and there, and somewhere along the way, figure out where I fit, which is the other thing. Like I said, I want to be in a community that I hang out with and do things with, right? I mean, I grant you, I know I spend a lot of my time on the computer, and it's part of the gig, it's part of the deal, but I like going out and doing things. And I love the game of Magic the Gathering. I love hanging out with my friends here that play Magic. But the truth of the matter is, I want to do more than just play Magic. I'm at that point in my life, I want to do more and experience more and adventure. And if I sound really passionate, it's because I am, right? Like, I've accomplished, like, I can toot my own horn a little bit, is I've accomplished a lot. And I'm very proud of everything I've done. And I want to do more, because I feel like I'm just getting started. And I think that I'm always going to feel that way as long as I keep doing the things I'm proud of. And that would make me proud. Now, whatever that fit is, whatever that opportunity is, that's fine. Like, I will look for them, and I will find them, and I will meet them. But I realize that there are things I have to work on personally, and that's the thing. I'm going to be better at investing in myself. Part of that is, you know, paying my editors. Hey, listen, I want to turn my books into the best things I possibly can. But more than that, it's about, you know, finding a place that I feel I'm going to be around people who, you know, are going to be there all the time. Kind of got that, but also, I mean, okay, and I should say this now, Like, my roommates have been awesome. The people that have, like, let me kind of stay here while I'm getting my shit together, I owe them huge. Corey McConaughey, Jillian, Hannah, honestly, guys, thank you very much. I couldn't be where I am without you, and I really genuinely appreciate it. And happy birthday, Corey, by the way. If you do listen to this somehow, some way, happy birthday, man. It was Corey's birthday today. I have one more birthday thing I'm going to be doing today, but that'll be at the end of the episode. But the thing about it is, all I'm trying to say to people is, at this particular point in the ball game, like, you got to know what you want. And what I really want is I want a place I fit in. I want to keep doing my creativity. I'm not above working for people at this point, but I want to be at the point where that's more behind me than in front of me. And that's kind of my goal. And how do I want to do this? I want to do this by writing stories, doing my podcast, and creating things. Like, I've already teaching people how maybe to find that confidence in themselves. Maybe I go take a personal life coach course. I could do that. Maybe I should do that. All of which to say that, and if it takes a little longer than I want to, that's fine. Maybe I take that gap that is right now and I just fill it up with something really quick, like a quick little program, and then I go do it. At the end of the day, folks, like, life, chase happiness, sure. Chase happiness, chase things you want in this life and go for them and pay the price required for them. And that's it. Like, I know my worth, I know my value, and I'm going to go for it. And perhaps the most important thing I'll say about in this episode to anyone listening to this is, don't damn yourself with the faintest praise. Don't settle for the things that don't make you happy. Right? You can't have a perfect world, sure. But will you be happy in the position you're in? If the answer is yes, then you're good. If the answer is for right now, that's fine too. But if the answer is no, leave. Life is way, way too short. Okay, so that's it for this little section of it. That's my 2024, at least some of my 2024. That's kind of the initial plans right now. Like I said, they could change. Life is good. The other lesson I should mention here real quick is, don't let what it looks like in the moment stop you from going. It doesn't. Life has a tendency to give you what you want at the right time. It always does. So don't try to fight that. Instead, embrace it so that, when the right time comes, you're ready for it. So that's what I'm doing now, is I'm getting ready for it. I'm catching up this month. I'm still behind. But once I catch up, I'm getting ready. Because I have time, but I don't. All right, folks. So here comes our second conversation from San Diego, and this is Brianna Winner. The Winner twins are some of the most amazing novelists you'll meet. I got to talk to one of them during my time, which is Brianna herself. So this is my chat with Brianna Winner. Check it out.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. My guest is one half of a legendary duo, the Winner twins. Brianna, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Tired. Just came from a panel with one of my bosses, one of the people I do stuff with on a regular basis. He had a panel about the Mighty Crusaders. I'm not. It's his passion. It is his passion. It is not mine. And sometimes you don't have the same passion, but you can see their enthusiasm. You're like, okay.
It can be passion can be infectious.
Sometimes, and sometimes you just feel like in this particular case for me, I can appreciate the heroes. It was the Mighty Crusaders line way back in the day. I can appreciate someone. Again, we all have those heroes inside us that kind of like inspire us, but it doesn't necessarily mean it inspires everyone else quite the same way.
Right.
So, but that's pretty much what that was, and now I'm here.
You just win?
Congratulations. How's the weekend?
Awesome.
It's been a good weekend. One moment, I'm doing an interview. And I've been doing really good. I'm a bit tired now. Of course, it's day 4, but Comic-Con is always an amazing convention.
Yeah.
And I always say that, like, except for very few things in my life, the best things in my life have come directly from or because events that started at Comic-Con.
I actually share that. I got to work, although it did not end well, I got a job working for one of my heroes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it just magically happened. I found that, I don't know if this is that way with you. I mean, there's always dedication and a pathway that you can see yourself going. But then things break, but they're never quite what you expect. But they're always wonderful.
It's very human.
Yeah.
Very human, because you make a plan. What is it? There's a phrase. Make plans and God laughs, something like that. Have you heard that one?
It's jokes. How do you make God laugh?
Yeah, how do you make God? Yeah.
Tell him your plans. Tell him your plans.
Tell your plans.
I call that, so I have 12 rules to success.
Mm-hmm.
The fourth rule is called best two. The idea behind it really is that life is principally unfair. Right? You can do everything correctly and still lose. I don't know if you ever watched Star Trek: Next Generation.
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah,
many times.
One of my favorite shows. Do you remember the one where Data lost the kohlrabi in that game and he analyzed himself for days?
Yes. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Picard shows up and goes, Data, it's sometimes possible to do everything correctly and still lose.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but there's a flip side to that too. And the flip side is, because life is so unfair,
We come and see you a lot.
we always get the opportunity for a second chance. There's no
real
magic number. It's like, this is how many chances you get in life.
Yeah, right.
You get it. So your job then is
But I think
the
the legendary
opportunity
stuff
does come your way.
There you go.
Right? Do your best not to shoot yourself in the foot.
It was like after
Yeah.
Smosh Eisner last night. I was really
And it works out.
You hope.
No, it does. It's never what you expect, though. Sometimes you don't see it. Sometimes it doesn't happen right in that moment.
No, I don't think I do.
But I truly do believe everything is something.
$7.99.
That's awesome.
I can take care of you guys over here if you want. Also.
I wanted to do it.
How about yourself?
Yeah, so we pulled those off the wheel because we are down to our last.
I think everything is tenacity
They're
and
probably
choices.
won't be anymore. I'm not gonna say-
The choice to continue on, the choice to wake up every day and to live it to your fullest, in spite of whatever you're suffering, and the tenacity that they get, that strength to move forward.
Whenever I stand in park,
Okay.
We are too.
I'm gonna ask this. Right?
We haven't
Doing this.
Yeah.
Where you're always tough.
Yeah, we're excited.
I don't know. I mean, I think.
somebody in college announced that they would be giving away autographs.
I mean, yeah, I think life is a journey of trying to balance being tough and
Slightly larger than the Doomling,
not
very big.
letting that hard
Star
shell
Wars size boot. And of course,
make you less compassionate and less understanding and less capable of feeling joy and connection. So it's kind of that balance of trying to strengthen yourself, but also don't become callous, I guess.
It's interesting. I had a conversation with Brian Pulido. He's Christine Phoebe's
I don't know what
son.
the next
He's a
event is.
romance writer, actually.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
We ended up talking about strength, right? Like particularly like this. And one of the things me and I agree on completely, I don't know about you, but the strongest moments, times I have felt, I've been in enormous, immense strength, has not been when it's hard,
End of the world.
but when it's actually
You score
gentle.
points by playing trick cards like these.
You
Interesting.
ever lift weights or ever do anything in athletics?
Oh yeah, I actually weightlift.
You weightlift?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll get, yeah, you'll appreciate this. What's harder, picking the weight up or putting it down?
However,
I guess everyone would say putting it down, right?
Most people would, yeah.
Well, it would be easier.
No, it's harder because let's say you pick up a weight that's heavier than you, right? Like, let's say you go lift this, how much is you can lift?
Yeah.
You're ready to get right?
No, I know. For me, what's easier is to let it go.
Yeah.
It's just you have to make sure it's controlled on the way down, and you got to make sure you have proper form. But yeah,
Yeah, but the control I think is what it is. My
all right. I can argue that. We don't have to have the same experience or even agree.
No, we don't need to. We don't need to agree.
Right.
But-
I've actually been pretty seriously weightlifting now for about 6 months.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I know that I don't look it because there's a lot of misconceptions about weightlifting and women getting bulkier, but I actually am pretty strong at this point.
No, that's not the not my disagreement at all. I don't mind.
I know. It's just
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's all good. It's all good. No, it's just
Round of our $5
no. I
coupons,
actually think some kind of physical fitness is really good. I used to my day job before I started going freelancing. I was basically working in a shipping receiving place, so I would just lift all day.
Yeah, that could be very hard. That's a very hard job.
Yeah.
All right, so
You
with
get
the
used to
discount,
it. You do get used to it eventually. But like, so again, this is maybe a point of view experience. What happened is eventually you got to the point where I got
there's also a mystery hall.
wanted to see how much I could lift, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then eventually I realized it doesn't really matter. It's about what I can comfortably do.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. To me, it's a process. The process is the point.
Yeah.
I don't really have a goal with even aesthetically a goal. It's just I lift to continue for what it does to my mind and body and the way I feel. Yeah.
Meditation. Yeah. No.
Yeah, to how I feel.
It's when I stopped lifting doing that job, I couldn't touch lifting for a year. It was because I just had done it for so long. I just needed it.
Yeah, it was also it's a job. It's a very different thing, and then doing something on your own for for different purposes. Being a job all day every day. That can be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
Instead of like an hour and a half thing where you break and you're not. It's not work.
Yours, and this is where I'm going to actually be in your favor. Yours can actually be more intense because what happens there is you sign yourself for specific. I'm lifting whatever comes down on the line. You're lifting even if it's a process.
Oh yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Basically,
But you can take breaks. You can take your own breaks. And, you can control of it instead of it being a job where you have to go like lift.
Yeah, but I can see why you because now at this point now. I'm ready to listen. Because now getting away from it, it's going to be a job. It would be, and now they say this is a joy. Yeah.
I think with any sort of fitness or anything else, it's about doing what actually you have some joy from. Otherwise, you're just not going to do it.
Yeah, well, but it's also just like it's. I don't know how much in the sports. I listen when I write. I listen to sports debate only because it's.
Oh my god.
Essentially meaningless.
Yes.
Or not.
Oh my god, it's just kind of like.
They're passionate about, but doesn't have any consequences to my day when I listen to that stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So. But one of my favorite things was said, like, everything is either discipline or despair. And I thought about that in a very interesting way. If you have a purpose or a drive, you're going for something, right?
Yeah.
That discipline of putting in some kind of work, whether it's writing a book, whether it's lifting weights, whatever the case may be, anything that helps you get to whatever you're going for, even if it's just for fun, it builds you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Trust me, look at that.
But anyway, safety sounds like it. So why did you get into it?
Weightlifting?
Yeah, why'd you get into it?
My fiance was like, "Hey, you want to try it?" And I'd been going with him a few times. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And then I started, and I found a great trainer, and then I just continued.
Yeah.
And went, oh, "Okay, I like this," and you just kept going.
Yeah, and makes you clear in mind.
Better, I could do more writing.
Yeah.
Actually.
I believe it.
No, it is. I don't think it has to be necessarily weightlifting. I think at least for me, if I do some sort of form of exercise after that, it's easier for me to really focus.
Yeah.
But everyone's different.
Yeah. Right now, I do walks.
Oh, nice.
Long walks.
Yeah.
So.
I have a friend of mine, Kevin J. Anderson, that writes a lot of his books, maybe most of his books, via audio on hikes. So, makes sense.
Everyone's talking about discipline, but I gotta admit, looking at your discipline thing here, it's genuinely impressive.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so your sister's not here, right?
No.
But was it one of you that decided to write and get followed, or did both of you make that decision?
So we're dyslexic, and we always loved storytelling and all that. And it was our dad's idea for us. He came to us and said, "I think you guys should write a book," because we thought we were very stupid. We were getting bullied in school for the dyslexia, and he thought if we wrote a book to kind of prove to ourselves that we weren't stupid and to put the stories we had on paper, we would believe maybe once and for all that we were actually smart. And that worked. It really did raise our confidence. And in a twist, maybe, that ended up becoming a passion that we followed until many years later. many years later.
No, I believe it. And I don't think anyone ever talking to you for 5 minutes. No one ever thinks that. No one. I just, no. It's amazing. Congrats. Like, honestly,
Thank you.
Congrats on that. 20 books in one series, right?
Oh yeah, and those are novelettes. They're a bit shorter, and we were doing like a once-a-month novelette release during COVID for a year or two. Yeah.
You did that once a month? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, what you do is like try to bank, when you have one you're editing, one you have rough drafts, one you're releasing, and you try to go on that.
That's still an impressive process. I knew a romance author. I knew a romance author up until very recently. We released a book once every 6 weeks. It was like it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do like
no, that's really amazing. That's an amazing level of word count. Getting to that word count is not easy.
No, for me, I just found that for me, trying to think of a word sound goal was getting the writing in. Right? I write more now without a number goal than I did when I had one. I don't know, maybe it's just how I work.
It's all about finding the right path for yourself and then going from that. There's no magic bullet that works with everybody.
So we were trying to figure out the rules.
Sure. No, so how does it work with you and your twin? Do you guys like write pieces of it separately? Do you write pieces of it that connect to you more?
So we, depending on the book, sometimes we switch off character perspectives, sometimes chapters, sometimes drafts. But by the end of it, it's both of us have changed it enough where I don't know where she started and I ended when it comes to the words.
So you guys are kind of like a mess.
Yeah. Sometimes we just riff, like, oh, you do this, I do that, and we go forward. Yeah. So it really depends on the project as well.
Okay. So are there ones where you're more passionate or she's more passionate?
Well, we'll have certain ideas that are more kernels from an individual.
Yeah.
But it becomes ours in the end. We really try to separate the ego and the creative process as much as possible.
Which makes sense if you are co-writing.
Yeah, if you start getting weird and possessive about one of your ideas, that's mine, I don't like that one, blah, blah, blah. It's death to the project. Death to the story.
Death to the story, and also possibly death to the damage to the relationship. We don't want that.
Yeah, so it's try to separate that and be like, okay, the ideas belong to the story, not me. And then if you can't find an agreement, just going in with a completely different idea.
Yes. You are quite popular.
Oh, thank you. Well, I've also worked this show now, I think, for 14 years, so I know a lot of people. And
I'm going to ask a question based on question. How old are you?
I would not touch you. I do not believe in violence. I'm 28.
You're 28?
Yeah.
You started this when you were 14.
I started when I was 12.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we became America's youngest multiple award-winning authors on our 13th birthday, actually, when we went national into every Barnes & Noble store and Borders in the country.
That is...
Yeah, you want to do Tell You the Penny? Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, let's see. I feel very inadequate because I didn't get there until much later.
There's not a timeline for anybody's life, but...
No. But... I've had the pleasure of interviewing a lot of people, and some of them, I always find it very impressive. It takes a certain degree of focus, drive, tenacity, what you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It takes an incredible amount of drive and tenacity to actually, especially at a young age, really get distracted and really not be. You guys do it very seriously, and all you have to say very maturely. For anyone's age to do that, and you did it at 13.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We could write the books at that age, and that worked for us, and that fit for us, and that's fairly unusual, but there is no timeline for anyone's life or maturity. And I've met people that become successful authors at 80, and I've come, and I've met people that become, authors younger like us. So there's no right way to do it, and there's no time limit or age limit.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
That's a great part. But still, impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And you got your first. Is this we that one before nomination this weekend?
Yeah, it's this would be our first for our. I Love Rock and Roll was nominated for production design, and we were part of the production and all that, and that was really cool and a real honor and frankly surreal.
Yeah.
completely surreal.
Is this your first award?
For comics, yes.
Yes.
For books, no.
No. It never gets old, but people recognize the style.
It's pretty wild because
But yeah,
I
would not
think
do that
the
to you.
majority of people that I know, myself included, they feel like an imposter at all times. They kind of that imposter syndrome, like where you're like, oh, people will discover I'm actually bad. But it's getting the awards like, okay, maybe I'm not as, helped with that sometimes.
Well,
If you join on Facebook,
my podcast one way back
Go
in the
and
day.
say,
And then we were nominated and it was very similar feelings.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna put this.
I decided that
Becky here.
I had a very interesting epiphany about this girl, and I was like, you know what? It really doesn't matter what I have here. I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would not be shocked. Like, books is, I think, Gem Jet and the Black Earth. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So that book's legit and correct and all that stuff, right? That probably won't be the last time you're nominated.
Oh, I hope that would be very, very cool.
That should some point again. I was looking at the awards list last week. I get this whole ownership.
I actually saw it. Yeah. I've actually been seeing
I would not be shocked.
I was going to get in there anyway. I'm glad.
Yeah, would not be shocked.
That'd be very cool. Hopefully, just keep on going and keep on writing.
Yeah.
Everybody else gets surprised.
Two more questions.
Great job, lads. Yeah, that was awesome.
First one is this one. Saying something. Okay, you always love storytelling.
Yes.
What story made you love storytelling?
There was no single story for me, but some highlights that from my childhood would be the Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass.
Okay.
I love those. Still do. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury.
When we get off the air, I got something to tell you.
And I, Robot and Case of Steel by Isaac Asimov.
So we're running very low. I'm doing a Fahrenheit 451 right now.
So yeah, I wanted to send one of these each to my brother.
Oh, very cool.
I have an Alice in Wonderland Grease mythology mashup. The person was nominated for an
Tuesday was Sandy.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, so it's just funny hearing that. And the thing I wish I could show you, I have a copy of the annotated Alice in Wonderland. Like, the thing about that one, it has all the notes from the Lewis Carrolls. I don't know if you have it.
I do actually.
Yeah.
I like the annotated copies, particularly of older works, because there's a lot of pop culture references from that time period that I don't know.
Yeah.
I also have them for H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, you want all the global?
Here's one guy I never got into. Yeah, but which one?
It's a collection of stories. Call of Cthulhu.
The Cthulhu stuff?
Yeah.
No, it's all cool. I play many Cthulhu games. I've actually never
I mean, I actually did.
I think it's good, but if it's not for you, that's okay. Everyone has their own.
So sometimes you get to everything at your own pace and time.
It should be something of joy, not of pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what got you in. So those are the stories that you remember that got you in.
Yeah, just a few. I could go on for hours, but just to start.
Yeah, that's cool. All right. So beyond all that, what's next for you guys?
What's next for us is we wrote a graphic novel for a band called Hailstorm. It's called Hyde Manor, and that's going to be released in October by Z2 Comics.
Okay.
And we're also launching our new nonprofit called Sudden Darkness. My sister will be heading that up, and it will be an online informational hub for people that are going, that are losing their vision, whether it be slowly or rapidly or overnight, and their families to get connected to the help they need, and some myth busting along the way, and eventually we hope to create a hotline for that.
Okay.
Hey, we love
Happy people that want to find
Winner Twins, WINNER twins.com, and we are Winner Twins on all social media. And I am Brianna Winner. Oh, wow, that's Comic-Con brain for you. I was about to start spelling my last name for my first. Brianna, Winner, WINNER, Brianna Winner everywhere. So,
All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it here. She's got the right crowds here, and they're supposed to go themselves, so we'll go do that. So for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching, thank you for listening. Stay inspired, keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you next time.
And that was my conversation with Brianna Winner. Definitely check a look at her graphic novel. It was amazing. I just gotta say that blew my mind how good that was. So credit to her and her sister, and hopefully I get to interview the other one next year. That'd be kind of cool. But that all said, folks, I got one more thing to say, and then I'm gonna wrap this show up. And that is, it's a happy birthday to my sister, and I want to congratulate her on going forth, and trying to get into graphic design. So my sister's looking for work. I'm not 100% sure what her plan is on that yet. But when and if she has a place where people can contact her, get work done. She's a talented artist, illustrator, graphic designer, photographer. She's a world-class photographer, legit. But whatever she wants to do, and I know enough about that, she's trying to build a portfolio because she's kind of working on some career aspirations. That all said, folks, like if you want logos, if you want, certain things designed, she's the person to contact. She's Ray Hope on Facebook. Take a look at her and go from there. So, sis, if you are listening to this somehow, some way, happy birthday. All right. Let me know what you guys think of this kind of episode. This is a little different from what I normally do. It's a bit of a formula breaker. But we'll be back next week. Betsy Ross will be bringing the show back to normal. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. So the last thing I'm going to talk about here is if you do have Kickstarters, because I do have a lot of guests that do Kickstarters here. I am doing a Kickstarter service to kind of like build you, whether making videos for announcements or interacting with your fans, just doing cool stuff. Like building the skits to do it. Like that is kind of the thing I'm kind of working on. So that is what I'm looking forward to doing. Beyond all that, folks, that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. If you enjoyed the show, please tell people about it. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And may your 2024 kick ass too. All right. We'll be back to normal from the next one on. Take care of yourselves, everybody.
Josh.